Go again. Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria. Thank you so much for being here. This is Her Talk Show. I'm going to be hanging out with Jaime Bartol today, and we are talking all about, girl, what happens when you outgrow your dream job,
Yes,
right? When you're feeling a little
absolutely.
stuck, when you're like, dude, this is everything I've ever wanted. And then you're sitting here and you're like, dude, I don't want to be here.
Yep.
I'm frustrated. So that's what we're going to be diving into. I'm actually super excited about this topic. Get comfortable. We're going to be talking about the triumphs, the challenges faced by women worldwide. We're going to be offering some insights, some inspiration. Jamie's going to be fueling your professional growth, but also your personal growth, right? A lot of this stuff we can flip from our personal and our professional. So let's dive in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Oh, get it. Listen, if you're listening live, welcome. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay in the comments. Let us know that you're here so we can send you some love. We are here every day. We delve into the depths, the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We've interviewed over 600 women on this podcast, and today we are adding another one to the list. From Disney Tech Program Manager. Dude, that just sounds like every child's dream. To startup consultant. She cracked the code on falling back in love with her career instead of quitting. Now she helps high-achieving women who've outgrown their dream jobs uncover their core leadership principles and turn them into career-defining stories. I am all about the stories. I'm super excited about this because when you find your power, you can't help but lead on with it.
Let's
Girl.
go.
Welcome. Welcome. So I love talking about stories. I think stories are like, it's so unfortunate because there's so many people still that just don't understand the power of their stories. They're over here like shoving it in closets, trying to lock doors, trying to throw it into the basement.
Yeah, they want to hide them. They don't want to talk about it. They don't
Yes,
want to
it's
talk about it.
crazy.
It is
So
crazy.
I'd love to talk about this. What are your thoughts on stories? And then when did you even come up? When did you in your life realize like, dude, these stories are powerful?
Yeah, so I can start there. I spent most of 2020 like really formulating this story that around how I left Disney because I was really ashamed when I quit. I felt really, really like I had failed at being a professional. And once I started to unpack, I didn't really quit. I took a job where I went back from maternity leave and I hated this job. And I was like, why do I hate it? I loved it 6 months ago and I hate it now. And I took that as opposed to quitting in that moment. I found fuel in going to conferences and going to meetups and literally throwing myself into different arenas and really stirring the pot on who I was as a professional as opposed to staying the same. And when I left Disney, that was over a year later, I felt this true abundance as opposed to this anger towards my job. And
Mm,
it was such an incredibly empowering time as opposed to like, I can't do this, I'm leaving. It's like, I know I can do it. And now I'm ready to do something else.
love
So
that.
yeah, it's really coming when I get clients, they're like, I hate this, I need to quit. I'm like, you can't quit yet because everything in your brain is going to come with you. And let's dive into that. Let's get that right first so that your next step is truly where you want to go. Because when you go from a place of lack, it
Yeah.
follows you.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I love that advice. That's one of the things that I talk about a lot in this world of entrepreneurship, which is where I'm at,
yeah.
because so many times women leave the corporate world
Yeah.
and then they dive into entrepreneurship. And I'm like, nay, nay, girl, you got to work the side hustle alongside the corporate job because of the lack. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And not everyone is ready to just like be an entrepreneur. Like it is a mindset game. You and I both know that. And so getting your mind right is so important in those moments.
I love that you're calling it a game. That's great. That right there just proves, right? The
Yeah,
mindset has to be correct in order for that to work.
absolutely.
So, this whole idea of a woman who, finally has her dream job, you
Yeah.
know, and she's been there for a lot of times years, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And all of a sudden not finding that same spark, that same joy. I have a question. Can somebody re-spark and stay, or is it always a pivot?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. And it's such a like a very distinct answer based on the person, but I believe that when you're ready to actually look at your next move, you know what you can do and you know what you've done in the past, and when you put those two things together, that's when you can decide with clarity and confidence. You can absolutely, I could have absolutely stayed at Disney because I had found a way to stir the pot in so that I found, this is what I'm so passionate about. I found ownership of my
Mm,
career. I became the owner of it. It wasn't about my boss or my industry or the 1800th like restructure of the Disney organization that was in charge of my career. It was me. And
mm.
so I could have stayed and I chose to leave, but you can choose because when you're the owner of your career, it's completely up to you. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. Good insight for sure. Um, I know you talk a lot about
Yeah.
reconnecting kind of who they've become with this new like leadership story of the evolution of all the things that they've learned. Because when we're jumping into a new role that's our dream job, we're excited, but we don't
So
know all
excited.
the things. We're learning the whole for sometimes over and over years, right?
Absolutely.
Learning and learning and learning. So how do we do that? How do we reconnect the past with who we are now to create our story? What does that actually look like for someone?
Yeah, so that's such a good question. So when my clients come to me, they're so ingrained. They've been at this job, like you said, for 5, 10 years. They know it backwards and forwards. They can do it asleep. And they need to be woken up. They're like, I don't feel anything anymore. And so the first thing we do is get really connected with those natural leadership principles that you function with every day. It's the analogy I like to use is like we all have a tool box, right? Or we have probably, my husband probably has like 1,500 screwdrivers in our garage, but I go to the same one every single time.
Totally. Yeah.
And so even though you have all of these things about you and like ways that you know you've learned how to lead or how to function in a professional environment, we all go back to those things that are like our tried and true things, the tools that we know are going to work.
Absolutely. Great analogy.
And so
For
when
sure.
you're doing that on purpose, when you know that you're going back to these same things over and over again, those are your core principles. And from there, that's where we build that spark back. That's where you connect back to those things that have like I talk about positive influence. We talk about your 5-year-old self in my program because it is so important to start to see the patterns of how you positively impact people from when you were 5 years old on, because they don't change. They do not change. So absolutely connecting back to that is key in my opinion.
When you're talking about core principles, for those
Yeah.
that don't know, what is a core principle?
It's like the foundational thing that you function like, that it's like your North Star. There's a better way of putting it. It is like the thing that you go back to. It's that screwdriver you know is going to work. It's, for me, it's like I'm a creative collaborator. I always go back to I want to collaborate. I want to be in collaboration with someone and I want to create something. And so that is something that I know to be true no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter what meeting, no matter who I'm talking to, I want to create and collaborate with someone. And so that's what it's those foundational things that don't change.
Yes, I love this. What's coming up for me while you're talking here is I'm imagining a woman, right? We have a ton of people watching live, by the way. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out with us. If you are watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know that you were here. I'm hearing a lot of like us, right? Like we're in the position, we have the dream job, we're shifting mindsets, we're using our stories, we're pivoting.
Yeah.
But all of us also have people in our lives, right? Sometimes our dream job is also our parents' journey for us, or maybe our spouse really appreciates the title that you have, or the position that you're at, or the company that you're at. How do we navigate powerfully as women leaders to other people's opinions?
It's such an important point. Like, thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's an identity, right? Like we're connected to this identity, and the people that we're in relationship with are also connected to that identity. And the more that you can not separate completely, but the more you can loosen like who you are as a human, like how you function from those identities, and not give them up because they are so valuable, but just loosen the grip on them and see the wiggle room you have. It opens your perspective and it allows for more opportunity and more possibility like in the future. And so I think the first step in that, without like knowing the person and what they're going through, is to just, how can I loosen my grip on my identity as a X, as a person who works at this company? What would it look like to just unscrew it a little bit? And how would that feel? And what comes up? And just explore from there, because it's such an important thing, like these identities that we hold, and not being so connected to them that they're inside us, but they're a part of us on the outside.
What about for women who are just realizing that they're over it, but they don't know what they want to do next? I feel like I talk to women a lot in this arena, as far as, my arena, it would be entrepreneurship, but they leave corporate and then they're like, I want to do something, but I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
How do we figure that out? I mean, you're talking about core principles, right? And there's value systems. How do we navigate this? Somebody sits down with you. They're like, Jaime, I need your help.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. The drive is gone. The fire is out. But I don't know. How does somebody navigate that?
Yeah. It goes back to that place, that feeling of lack again, that feeling of I'm empty, I'm depleted, and I need to find something that fills me up. And so where I start with those women who are like, I'm quitting tomorrow, like I can't do this anymore. Like I'm like, I can't sleep. My body is like, I have like, all the things, my hair's falling out. And where we start is what actually fills you up. Like I had a client who what filled her up, even though she was like, she had a boss that was, not like, she was crazy, and she had people around her that were so dysfunctional. There's the word dysfunctional. What filled her up was connecting with people. Like her homework was to go get coffee with one person a week and connect with them outside of the meetings. And that gave her the energy, and just that like taking back control, like that little bit more ownership over your career, to start to see other possibilities. When we're in this, like, I have to get out, this like very fight or flight or sympathetic, or our sympathetic nervous system is like, you are being chased by a bear, you must get out now. That's not the place where we can function at our highest. And so we have to get out of that first before we can decide what our next step is.
Yeah, totally agree with that. When you're talking about mindsets
Yeah.
and the shifts, what I guess platform, what exercises, what are we doing in
Yeah.
order to kind of figure that out?
Yeah. We are
Is this talk therapy?
this is like physical therapy. I go like physical. My question is like, how does that feel in your body?
Mm,
And like how do you know that you're stressed out, or that you like are holding back, or like you don't want to speak up, or your shoulders rounded? Have you stopped breathing and starting to notice like when you feel expansive and abundant, what does that feel like in your body? And what does it feel like when you're like closed off and not open to possibility? And really bringing the physicality into the room as much as we can, because our body is like the best tool for us to see like how we're feeling and how we're regulating ourselves. And it's always with us, which is the best part. Like it is the internal resource that never goes away. And so I start by connecting them with their breath and their posture and how they walk and how they stand. And that starts to kind of break down that numbness we have, like to start to feel our body. And it opens up so much possibility, because when we can play somatically with how you feel, it's an incredible tool to use that not a lot of people tap into. And so
mhm.
I feel like that's part of the secret too, is the
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, I totally feel that. And for anyone listening right now, if you just take a second and do what Jamie's talking about, there's box breathing, there's all sorts of breathing, but just pay attention to your breath and then just do that simple, like pay attention to your posture, put your shoulders back. And
Yeah,
even just that movement can create such a different outlook where you're sitting right now, where you're standing right now in life.
no one has to notice that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and if you want to feel grounded, put your feet on the floor and like
Mm,
let yourself feel like feel the earth beneath you. And
mm,
if you feel like a lot of like you start to spiral in your head, or you start to like volley back and forth. And if you feel that, just put your feet on the ground and just breathe and like say something simple like, I am grounded, I am centered, something that connects to just bring yourself back into like who you are and who you like want to be.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leadership.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what leadership means to you.
Mm. It's I had a friend who got promoted to colonel in the Air Force 2 weekends ago, and she gave this definition that I've told her I'm stealing. And it is,
Perfect timing.
yeah, she's incredible. She's one of my mentors, but her definition of leadership is getting up in other people's business. And I told her, I was like, I am stealing that, because that is exactly what leadership is. It is confidently and compassionately getting up in other people's business. It's inserting yourself into circumstances that, like, no matter what, and staying in it with people. It's so important to stay in it and to be that trusted person that they're not going to leave, they're not going to like blame you for something, but you stay in it with them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I think sometimes people view leadership as more like you're up top by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm really feeling this, and this is the way that I lead. I lead in and amongst.
Yes. You're
I'm
in their
like with,
business.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very much with.
Yeah.
And even when I speak, it's very much us, not I.
Yeah.
It's like we. And I just think that's such a more powerful leadership stance. And if you really think about it, the we and the us, like being all up on people, is so much more powerful because there's power in numbers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when we're all learning the leadership skills together, it's not you by yourself. It's like
Right.
we are rising together.
Yeah. I mean, if it's that saying, like, you want to go far, like you want to go fast, go by yourself, but you want to go far, go with others.
Yes.
And that's exactly what that is.
Great
Absolutely.
reminder. Great
Yeah.
reminder. I know that you have thoughts on personality tests and leadership assessments.
I do.
I would love to hear this because I feel like we might be aligned.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on this stuff?
Yeah, I think that they are self-fulfilling prophecies. And I talk to women all the time, or my Gallup Strengths Finders tells me I'm this, or my Enneagram, I'm a number this, or DISC or Leadership Circle, any of those, that's the thing they lead with, is like, I'm this. And you're so much more than what a X number of questions survey tells you are. And I feel like when you get these words back, if you're not in a container where you're able to be properly coached and you can apply them, you can play with them as tools, but when you make that part of your identity, it becomes the thing that you are. And it's like, well, I'm not a great strategist because Gallup Strengths told me that that's low. And it's like, that's not true. That's in one point in time, you answered questions that showed that you were this, and this. And so I feel like it puts us in a box. It puts women in a box. And then they build their little beautiful walls around themselves, and that's where they stay. And in the complexity of the world that we live in, and sometimes the chaos, we cannot be defined by these words given to us in an assessment. And it's so much more empowering to learn how you function and to apply that intentionally to situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really doesn't, depending on the individual, it doesn't leave much room for growth.
Exactly.
It just becomes an excuse.
Yeah.
So this is just the way that I am. See this paragraph?
Yeah.
It proves that. And it's like, okay, and do something about it.
Yeah.
Evolve.
Right. And is it serving you right now? What's the gap? Where do you want to be?
It
what
never does. None of them serve.
Yeah.
None of them serve.
We don't need to go into the back end, but that business is huge, and these companies thrive on those things aren't free. And it's such a interesting business to kind of see from behind the scenes, that there's so many ways to get to know yourself that doesn't require 60 questions, 100 questions to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
I also think, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but I think that there's we like things easy, and we like things clean and clear, and
absolutely
boxes. Our brains love boxes, and so it feels good to have those tests and have those words.
Yeah.
Even though they're not necessarily what we need or what serve us. Yeah.
Yeah. I stay away from everything. I even stay away from the signs, which pretty much everybody knows, approximately what their sign is. But I stay away from all of it because it really does. For me, it just messes me up. Even last night, I was telling you about the really nice restaurant that my boyfriend and I went to. It was this modern Asian twist, and the menu had the Chinese calendar on it.
Okay.
Where they have the dog, the goat, the rat, the pig, and then who you are or something.
Right.
And it's according to the year, not according to the month. Anyways, I was a dog. First thing it said was loyal. And I was like, oh yeah, I am so loyal. Then it said something else that was super negative. It was loves all the attention or something like that, which dogs do. They love attention, right?
Yeah.
And then I got pissed. I'm like, how does this thing know all that about me? I'm not that much of an attention whore. And I start making excuses. I'm like, no, it's all about us. It's not about me. I'm always pushing everybody else and giving everybody else the limelight. I'm not,
Yeah.
and I'm like having this whole intern, and I'm like, Sabrina, what? It was like a 60-second thing,
Right.
but I'm here in my head arguing with the menu,
Right.
with the menu,
With words on a menu.
with the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy to me.
Yeah.
But this is what we do to ourselves unnecessarily.
Yeah. And to our detriment, and to the detriment
Absolutely.
of your career, and to your corporation, or anyone you're in a relationship with. And then you use those words with people, and you tell people yours.
Yeah.
And then that's how they identify you. And so we're building all these frames that are, again, from one moment in time, how you answered something is not all encompassing of who you are as a person.
Yeah. Because everything jolts us, like relationships starting, relationships ending, jobs starting, jobs ending.
Yeah.
How tired you are. Did you just have a baby? Did you just come off your menstrual cycle? Like there's so many things.
Yeah. Have you eaten today? How did you sleep? Like literally, like, did you just eat a candy bar? Or
are you constipated?
Yeah. It's a snapshot of a moment in time, and people hang on to them. Like there's people who have them on their email signs, like, I am these Gallup strengths. And it's like, oh, honey, my love. But there's so much more than that.
I think I was reading somewhere that there's like hundreds. There's hundreds of these personality tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like not 100, like 700 or something. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but hundreds. Is that crazy?
It's yes, it is crazy. And to think that, do you think they'd all be aligned if you took all 700 of them? Would they
That was my first thought.
Yeah, like what would that look like? And then how can
Oh my gosh. Google AI is saying thousands.
Thousands. Wow. And who was making these up? Do we know these people?
They're naming a few here. The Myers-Briggs, we've heard of that.
Yep.
DISC, we've heard of that. You actually said that.
Yep.
Big Five.
I have not heard of Big Five.
Me neither. Enneagram. I think you said
Enneagram. Yep.
Enneagram.
Yeah.
Strengths Finder.
Yep. The Gallup one. Mm-hmm.
Team Dynamics.
Okay. That's
crazy.
I've heard of that, but that makes sense.
Well, I don't feel so bad. I was all like, I'm exaggerating. There's thousands, ladies. Ladies, are you listening to what Jamie's saying here? There's thousands of personality tests out there that we're getting all confused by.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself.
Yeah. Have a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Get to know your core principles.
Get to know them. And then go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So can
we ask AI a question?
Yeah.
How big of a business is this? Like, how much money do organizations spend a year on this?
On the test or what?
On having their employees take these tests.
Oh. They do that. I was in some sort of a corporate thing giving a spiel.
Yeah.
On what was I talking about? I was talking about community. And there was a dude that went up and he did a talk before me on DISC.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
$2 billion. Like that is what, yes. It's,
wow.
It's not a small business.
Wow. And that's just personality, right? There's also probably another 1,000 that call it some other.
Like leadership or.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Unnecessarily.
Yeah.
When you could just get to know yourself and all the idiosyncrasies of yourself instead of, it's almost like a pill.
It's like a little dopamine hit. Like it's a little dopamine hit.
It really is. Because even just last night, I don't ever do these things, so I don't really have any stories. I purposely stay away from them.
Yeah. Because
I don't want to box myself in.
Yeah.
And I think humans in general have we naturally want to just do what's easiest.
Absolutely.
Right. So like if I saw something that was like, oh, she loves to nap at 1. I mean, I don't take naps, but like she loves to nap at 1. I mean, what a great thing to hear.
Yeah.
You know, now all of a sudden I can just start taking a nap at 1 because it
Permission.
says it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's giving me permission to do that. It's like, that's what is that all about?
Yeah.
So yeah, instead of taking the time to like do that, fill all that jazz out and pop that pill,
Yeah.
you know, like team up with a coach, somebody like Jamie that could sit down with you and figure out something as simple as core principles, your values, and find out what's actually true to you instead of getting through it and then realizing 3 of them are incorrect, totally
Yeah.
off the wall, incorrect. Just figure out what yours are.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
The things that don't change, like no matter what, are core
Yeah.
to you. Like, because principles, like you think about like physics and like natural laws and principles, there are things that do not change.
Yeah.
Like they don't, no matter what circumstance, no matter what's happening,
Yeah.
those are the things that you can come back to.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what I love about them.
This is like reminding me of something, but I have like all this. I think everybody has this, right? As an entrepreneur, or maybe even everybody, you just have a huge pile of just shit.
In books, I have books.
I can't find it. Anyways, well, this has been great. You know, I'd love to hear as we're kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the world of entrepreneurship. I predominantly work with entrepreneurs. A lot of the stuff that we were talking about can ebb and flow through both genres here. You know, you predominantly work with corporate.
Yeah.
I'd love to kind of know, you know, where your leadership, as far as entrepreneurship, where are you at right now in your journey? How are you growing that? How are you stepping into leadership outside of corporate? You know, it's obviously been a while, but
Yeah.
what does your journey look like?
So right now I am one-on-one coaching like high achieving, high performing women leaders who have hit that ceiling, who have like, this is not what I thought it was. I'm ready to pivot. I'm also working on a train the trainer where I'm training people on my program so that they can take it to their small businesses and, you know, their organizations. And I've actually worked with a couple of entrepreneurs who are leaders. They are leading and they've gone from solopreneur, maybe with a VA, to a team. And now that's a different transition, but it's still a transition. And so helping them really bridge that gap between solopreneur, entrepreneur to leader of an organization. And so that's what I'm working on right now is really getting this program into the hands as many people as I can, supporting and serving the women that I have under my care right now, and really trying to get entrepreneurial women to understand that this applies to them as well. This leadership transition applies to them as well. And it'll take you further because you're able to really lead your team, as opposed to like, well, I'm really good at X, and so I'm just going to like clone myself. And that's not what you have to do. You have to get up in other people's business, and you have to lead. You have to positively influence and impact them in order for your business to grow.
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing. I see this so much within the women field of entrepreneurship, of this whole like softness and quietness and just little and not really wanting to get out there. And one of the things that I talk about is, ladies, when individuals are hiring you to coach them, I don't care what the genre is.
Yeah.
Could be on something as soft as trauma, where you need to be soft and calm and
hold space,
understanding and patient. Even in something as calm and soft as that, these individuals are coming to you to lead them.
Absolutely.
And you have to stand in power, in certainty, in confidence, in order for them to feel comfortable, in order for them to lean, in order for them to invest in your services.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to like going back to those principles, you have to know what you stand for, why you stand for it, and like what people can expect from you, so that no matter what comes at you, you are grounded in that.
Mm.
And it's like like you want to be like a palm tree where you can like sway, but your roots are so deep in who you are and like your principles that you can move, as opposed to an oak tree, or I'm making that part up, but like the oak, like there's roots that they're not as strong and you can fall over
Or
or crack.
shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being that palm tree and having those incredibly deep roots is what's going to keep you from snapping in half in that big storm.
Yeah. I love that analogy. For those of you that don't know, the reason the palm tree can be whipping around during the freaking hurricanes, I live in Florida, so I see it,
Yeah.
is their roots go down deep.
Yeah.
They go down deep. And then other is the tree itself. It flows, it ebbs and flows. It can take on harsh winds, struggles, challenges, and just kind of, continues to just come back up despite the crazy winds down here. I'm going to bring this up. You want to read this? This is from Maite.
Okay. You want me to read it?
She's talking to you.
Okay. So what if you just desire to have something small? I feel that if I go too ambitious, how do you deal with that? It creates so much. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. And my question back to you.
And this is, I think, a lot of issue.
Yes. Like my question back to you would be, what makes you think that what you desire is small? Who is defining that word small for you? I would go back to that, because maybe it's the exact right, like what if it was the exact right size for you? How would you show up? What would that internal conversation be if you told yourself this is the exact right size for me?
Well, you have to recognize too, Jamie. I mean, and Maite, if you want to answer that, we're here. There's so much pressure right now, right? There's influencers out there that have 23 million followers.
Yeah.
And we're over here with like 500.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, even just thinking about doing something up to 10,000.
Yeah.
Right? A business where there's 10,000 people following you. It's kind of like, oh, it's not 1 million, but it's 10,000, but that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Right? So yeah, I think girl, I get this all the time, and I'm a big thinker. So I'm not the best person to ask this question to, which is great that we have Jamie on here, because I'm always like, go bigger or go bigger. Like we're not motherfucking going home.
I have 2 speeds, bigger and biggest, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just like, what? That's it? Bigger, girl. So yeah, I'm not the best person. And I feed off of what Maite here is saying, the internal pressure.
Yeah.
Like that's what feeds me. Like I'm under, and I talk about this a lot, I'm under a constant anxiety. Like I am constantly stressed out. Like I wake up stressed, I go to bed stressed. But like for me, it's like I'm good. Like I thrive off of that like can't breathe feeling that people say is super unhealthy. But I've been in this state of mind for so long. Like my story is all lack. I was a single mom. I had no money. I'm digging in my couch cushions for 25 cents to put gas in my car because I'm negative money. Like my story is all lack. Yeah. So, leading into, what I've created now for myself, still just like, it's never enough. And I know a lot of that comes from trauma. I know, like, I'm very aware. I've done a lot of work in that area, but people don't necessarily appreciate hearing that. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I'm in a mastermind where I'm working towards a goal, and their goal is now 10 times that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get there? So I feel that. And I've been struggling with that actually this weekend. It's actually like very timely for me. And what I've done today, just to get myself out, because I felt my nervous system freaking out. Like I feel very much like I have to go do this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I reminded myself today, actually, so hopefully this helps, is that everyone, and I know this sounds cheesy, but everyone is on their own journey. And I like
Absolutely.
remind yourself of that. And I would really offer to like look at that word small and let's change that narrative in your brain about what that means for you. And so those would be my two things just to start off with. With that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. The race isn't with anybody.
No. And
it's just yourself. Yeah. It's just with yourself, you know.
Yeah.
It's however fast you want to go. And you can go as fast or as slow as you want.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
If you're talking to me, I always say faster is better. No one wants to make money slow. Girl, we gotta make money fast.
Action takers are money makers is what.
Yes. But this is why, you know, for those of you that are feeling that, this is why linking up with a coach, right, is so imperative to talk through it.
Yeah, you got to check those words.
And she responded to go through it and to find your pace, right? To find what actually works for you. Because she says going big it's my thing. Oh, it is her thing.
Okay.
But I just want to create this is the balance thing. The balance thing. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jamie?
What are my thoughts? I just want to create balance. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And would harmony be a different word or a rhythm than balance? Because I know from like, I'm a mom, I like run my business and you know, I have things. And so as opposed to always trying to keep it level, I try to keep it in rhythm.
Yeah.
And so that's what helps me is like switching that word. Our words are so important because when you say I want to create balance and you don't have balance, you feel like you're failing.
Yep.
So what would it look like to create a rhythm and see what that feels like? Because then it's just like you want to make sure you don't feel like you're failing all the time. And when you're asking yourself to create balance, when that maybe doesn't exist, then you're kind of setting yourself up to feel that way. And so just offering different language to help you move through this with some peace and ease would be my offer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I heard maybe like a month or two ago, somebody had asked, there was some sort of a podcast on, and it was a live podcast, like in and amongst people. And a woman came up and she was like talking about balance. She's like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing all the things and it's just work-life balance. And he's like, are your kids fed and well and loved? She's like, yeah. He's like, is your husband fed well? Yes. Is your house, like, you good out the house? And then, yes. Okay. Are you eating how that you, yes. Are you doing, you doing well in your business? You moving forward in your business? Yeah. He's like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like.
This is what it feels like.
And this is what he said, which was this was so good for me to hear, is who is the ruler of the balance?
Yeah.
Like, where is the graph?
Yeah.
There's no graph. You can literally look it up. There's no graph that says 7.2% of your day needs to be 22 point.
Yeah.
There's no graph. So every single person's balance of what they're making up in their head is yours.
Yeah.
You are creating the unbalance that you think you have. So just recreate it to be what it is right now. And then all of a sudden you're balanced.
Yeah. But exactly.
Because it's just made up. It's made up in your head.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing out there. It's not like weight where they're like, oh, if you're this height and you're this, then you should be approximately this weight. There's nothing out there for work-life balance.
No.
She says, this is my biggest balancing life fear that makes me stop, and also being a perfectionist. At least you know.
Yeah. That's the awareness of that and holding space for that is really powerful. My offer would be, when do you feel balanced? What does that feel like in your body, and what's happening, and like notice when it does feel balanced for you, and how could you apply that to those times when you feel off balance? Oh,
Love that.
yeah.
Jamie, for Maite and everyone listening live, where can we find you on social if we wanted to follow you? Website, give us all the deets.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Lead with Jamie. My website is jamiebartol.com. That's where you can find out how to connect with me if you're interested in any coaching. On Instagram, that's where I play. We got a new puppy this weekend, so all of my stories today have been about Banks, our new puppy. And yeah, I'm on there, and I have a couple of freebies if you're interviewing for things, or if you feel like you can't speak up in conversations. I have some really, really great formulas for you. If you're interested in that, just DM me on Instagram and I can get those for you.
Love it. And then website, where can people find you?
Yep, just jamiebartol.com. Super easy.
And for those of you that are listening to us live here on the replay, it is in a clickable link in the description below, wherever you are watching us. You can literally just click and view all the goodness in there. As we're kind of wrapping up here, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, my closing thought is get out and walk. And I know that sounds really weird, but as a professional, as someone who works all day, get outside, take a 20-minute walk. I do Wednesday walks with me. You can come and ask your career transition questions. Instagram, and so I just get out and walk. Get out and walk today would be my closing.
Do you go at the same time every day?
Yeah, I do. It's 6:30 every Wednesday morning Pacific, or 9:30 Eastern. And you can come and just ask your career transition questions, your leadership questions, and we just chat. But you got to be walking, either on your walking pad or outside. So that's my rule.
Did you say Wednesdays or
Wednesday walks? Yep.
Wednesday morning. Dude, that's so cool. Yep. On Insta?
Yeah. Yeah, just Instagram lives.
Very cool. So smart. See, ladies, this is what we're talking about as far as there's no time, right? Yeah. This is exactly the kind of stuff. First of all, she's doing same time every week. She's making it known. She's doing it with something else. So herself is actually doing two things at once. And she's insisting that those people be doing the same thing she is.
Yeah.
This is the consistency. This is the congruency that individuals are looking for as far as leadership, as far as leadership goes. I absolutely love that. All right, lady. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. So appreciate you being here, coming on with us, sharing your wisdom, giving us some inspiration. Thank you so much.
We got it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. To our dedicated listeners, those that are here to the very end, thank you so much for being here. Remember to follow, like, and share this video. Great, great content that your friends and family should hear, should listen to.
Absolutely.
So again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community. We have a whole community connected to this show. It's called Her Nation Global. It is a Facebook group. And this is what we cover. We cover health, wealth, and leadership. And we really, really work on continuing to help each other rise, right? Sharing our wealth, sharing our knowledge, our wealth of knowledge with others so that you can then better yourselves and then pay it forward to your family and your community. That's what we're all about here. And that is also in a clickable link in the description below. So thank you so much for being here.